Greetings everybody and welcome back. So today's video I want to talk about something a little more on the personal level. I would like to talk to you guys about my very first psychedelic experience. Now, before I even say anything, I just want to say that I do not promote the use of any drugs, any narcotics, anything of that sort. This video is strictly for educational purposes only and about my experiences. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So guys, when it comes to psychedelics, the one I'm talking about in particular is magic mushrooms, or better known as psilocybin. And now for those of you who do not know what psilocybin is, or even ever heard of magic mushrooms, basically what magic mushrooms are is exactly how they sound. They're mushrooms that just grow from the ground, and what they contain is a molecule called psilocybin, and the active ingredient that gets metabolized or gets created from the metabolism of psilocybin in our body is called psilocin, and that is what causes the more hallucinogenic, bright, vibrant experiences. Basically, how it happened for me was, they say that nothing in the universe is just random. Everything happens in divine order and nothing is presented to you when you're not ready for it. And for me, I've been fascinated just by mushroom and mycology my whole life. Like, it's always been something that I've always enjoyed. I just love the way a mushroom looked. Even in Super Mario, my favorite character was Toad, always. And as I grew more and more in my spirituality, or becoming more involved and having access to certain kind of experiences with other things, the doors sort of kind of opened up a little more. I started noticing as I'm walking around, which I never really noticed before, I started to notice mushrooms started growing over it. And they say that when you're connected with the mushroom, you start to notice it more. It presents itself to you more. As I'm speaking, I randomly found that there's mushrooms growing right beneath me, right where we're filming this video, which I think is wonderful. So now that you have a little brief history on mushrooms and psilocybin, let's start talking about my experience. So one day, one day it was presented right to me. It was presented right to me in a way I'm not going to say, but it was presented to me and I felt safe. It felt like something I was called to do. I've done all the research. I'm a huge advocate on Terence McKenna and his philosophies and experiences and his stories that he's told. And when I finally had it presented to me, I created my sacred space and I set my intentions with it. And the dose I took was, your average dose, 3.5 milligrams or anywhere between 2.5 and 4, whatever. Everybody's opinion differs or everybody's tolerances are totally different. For me, I just went with the normal, dive right in, let's see what life is all about. So I ingested in actually food form. It came to me in vegan chocolate. What better? And kind of hanging around, I had my lights on. I had different color lights, ones that made me feel very safe at home, very peaceful. And believe me, when you do something like this, especially if it's your first time, please either make sure that you are with somebody experienced or have a sitter, or you are somewhere safe where you cannot get hurt and you are comfortable, 110% comfortable. So during the come up, you start to feel a little wavy. There's like a sense of like a little bit of body euphoria, tingling everywhere. My third eye right here started to vibrate. My crown started to vibrate, and it was very sensational. And at that point, I started to shut out the faux world. I turned off the TV. I was listening to music for a little bit. I was listening to some 432 hertz music, some binaural beats, but then I also turned on some other music just because I wanted to experience some of my favorite songs in a new light, in a new frequency, with new senses. So I'm sitting there, I'm listening, and one of the things I heard Terence McKenna say is that if you do ingest and you start to feel a little anxious or a little nauseous, which is natural, what you can do is smoke a little flower or vape it, anything of that sort. It will help with the anxiety. It will help with feeling scared or that dizziness, any negative side effects that could come along with ingesting. So during the come up, I felt very euphoric. I felt very happy. I was just so in tune like I've never been before, farther than any astral projection, farther than any role, farther than any meditation. This was, you dive head first, here's the veil. It got lifted right off of life from me. Instead of getting a little peek through the keyhole, the door was wide open and somebody just threw you right in. It was the most wonderful, amazing experience to start off with. And now during, 2 hours into this 7-8 hour journey overnight, I had my room set up, very sacred. I had it set up to the point where it just resonated with my essence and the way I wanted to experience this with my intentions. Now, my intentions with this were sort of an ego death. I wanted to experience nothing but love, joy, hope, and just peace. And I wanted to experience a little bit of rebirth. And it gave it to me. Right during the come up, about an hour, 2 hours in, you feel so wavy, and it's just talking to you. It's guiding you through it. If you are in tune with the mushroom, it will talk to you directly. Put yourself in the environment so that way it could be you one-on-one. And the first thing that it told me as I was sitting there enjoying the way it felt, with vibrating with everything, was, Daniel, just dance with it. It wants to dance with you. Just surrender to it. Just move back and forth and feel what it wants you to feel. Think what it wants you to think. Let it take you in your thoughts. Let it take you far, far away from your thoughts. Let it do what it wants. So at that point, what I did was I put myself in a meditative position, turned the music off, laid back, and it took me, we don't know where it took me. So about 3 to 4 hours in, I started to feel a wave of emotion. I was kind of moving around. I wanted to move. I wanted to feel. I wanted to explore. I wanted to look at things with the veil lifted off. And in one of my last videos, I talk about how when you start to decalcify your pineal gland, you start to see things differently. You start to feel things differently and vibrate with things. So before this state, you'll notice that things have a coating of energy all over it. You can see it moving. You can see patterns. You can feel the patterns. Also, you can see it in the air. You'll see little pixel points. Trust me, you're not crazy. If you can see this, let me know, because I see it and everybody thinks I'm absolutely nuts. So with that being said, when you're on this come up, about 3-4 hours in, you're just about fully seated in for the ride, seatbelt or not. And when you start to see things for what they were, you start to weep. You become happy, but really sad at the same time, because you never really knew your whole life what things really looked like, but at the same time, they're so beautiful. It's a wave of positive and negative emotions all at the same time, but yet they're all still so loving. And as I was feeling those things, I started to flow a little less, and that's when I started to get my messages. It said to me, Daniel, you are such a loving person. You have so much love to give the world. You preserve life. You feel that all life is sacred, and we are all here together, and nothing is here just for you. You are here with everything. And it said, but there's one problem. There's one part of you, of your life, that doesn't resonate with you. And what I'm talking about is, I am not ashamed to say this, we all have this problem, or have had this problem, is porn. And what I mean by that is, what it does, it's psychological warfare. It is there to destroy your very essence. It is there to drain you of your life force. It is there to get you addicted to dopamine and meaningless satisfaction. Also, it teaches you to treat people, men or women, in a very terrible way. And that is something that the mushroom told me, is that does not resonate with your essence. That is not who you are. And I wept. Even more. I just started sobbing, and I was so beside myself, but at the same time, I said to myself, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. So from that point, it said, Daniel, no matter how high your energy vibrates, no matter how good you are to people, no matter how much you take care of yourself and everything around you, that negative energy is still there, prevailing, and you're transferring that to everybody you come in contact with. So from that point on, I said, you're absolutely right. From this day forward, I will never, ever view it again. And from that day forward, I have not. And let me tell you, it has been so liberating to just be free. Just be free from those shackles, those draining shackles that just steal every part of your life force. It is terrible. So from that point, as I became more understanding and I conversed with what it wanted to teach me, I started to feel happy again. And it was ready for my next lesson. Because remember, everything this substance is going to tell you is a lesson to be learned. It is consciousness. It is teaching you everything that you need to know. It's not giving you the experience you want. To an extent, if you set your intentions properly, it will give you a good experience, but it's going to give you everything that you need to heal. So from about 5 to 6, 7 hours in, sort of at the peak, coming down, not really coming down, I started to get in contact, or something got in contact with me, but I have spoken with machine elves. And for those of you who don't know what they are essentially the ones that fabricate and create and mold and work everything that you see. They are everything at the same time as they make everything, as you are everything. And something they told me, everything you're doing is exactly what you're supposed to be doing when you are doing it. We are so happy that you have noticed all the synchronicities, all the numbers we've been sending you, everything we've been sending you, you have taken notice in, and we thank you so much for paying attention and thanking us for it. They said, Daniel, notice that whenever you see these things, you always are where you're supposed to be. You always are where you see these signs. And I was like, wow, that's absolutely right. I know it may seem so simple, but it's absolutely right. And I've always, I had questions about certain people in my life. I asked it about very, very special people in my life and what they're doing and are they supposed to be a part of my life? And it told me the people that are a part of your life deeply, connectively, and the people that you meet that you feel like as if you've known them your entire life, those are the encounters that you were always supposed to have. And I was like, thank you. That makes me feel very happy that I have everybody that I am supposed to have and that I always attract everything good to my life. And it says, well, of course you're going to attract everything good to your life. That's what you radiate. And when you radiate that, you will attract exactly what resonates on your frequency. So one of the other things that it told me was, you've been spending so much time in nature. Have you not noticed that nothing dances as perfectly as the leaves and trees when it's windy? Nothing sways and flows just as beautifully. And once I heard that, walking around nature, who's walking around here, has not been the same. I feel as if wherever the wind blows, whichever direction that the leaves and the branches are carried, I'm carried as well. I'm always supposed to flow with the way, just the natural flow of the earth. It's absolutely profound. It takes the stress totally away from everything. You don't worry, am I supposed to be here? What am I doing here? Where am I supposed to go? You always feel safe, secure, and at home. No matter where you are, you just feel at home. And so, one of the last things that resonated with me during this experience was earlier that week, I came across, at my job, I was just a family, but they had there was someone that reminded me of a young me. He was just having fun. He was this young kid. He was just with his family. And he looked at me. He goes, "Is this the best job you've ever had?" And I didn't even know how to answer. I literally looked at him and I said, "Well, everything I do is the best thing I do. It's all play." And so and this happened before my trip. So one of the things that it said was, that encounter was no mistake. You were reminded of your younger self for a reason. And that is, your younger self said, "I am so happy that you have finally woken up to the person that you have always known you were going to be. You've had amnesia for a very long time, but I just want you to know that I am so proud of you and I would not change a single thing about you, because what's there to change? You're you. You love and you are loved, and that is the frequency that you resonate, is pure love. So I would not change you or me or everything around you for a thing. Everything has happened to you for a reason, and you have finally noticed those reasons. I'm sorry, I'm repeating this the best way I can, because for any of you who have had this experience, whether it be a month ago or however long ago between your last experience, you're still processing everything, and you always will. So please forgive me if I sound like I'm rambling just a little bit. And at that point, I felt weightless. I felt as if I can just lay back and just breathe and just be one. You become nothing and everything. You come into this state, and you get taken to this place that you've never seen before, but you've always known existed. When you're there, you feel like home. You feel at peace. Everything is so familiar. Everything there and everyone there is happy to see you, and you're happy to see them. And at that point was when it told me, Daniel, you've learned a lot. Be happy for your growth. Be grateful for everything in life. It felt like it was looking at me, listening to me, all while I was listening to myself. It was the craziest thing. Every sense was a mirror. It said, we will see you again, and we cannot wait. It's the most bizarre thing ever, and it's the most beautiful thing ever. You have this such deep understanding of every single emotion in the world. You feel every one emotion around you. You also feel how it resonates with you, and you learn that everybody is truly an extension of yourself. Everything around you is based off of your perception and your projection of reality. And it is just such a beautiful, beautiful experience, and I couldn't be any happier. I just couldn't be. I wouldn't change it for the world, because I couldn't. It was always supposed to be that way, which is one of those wonderful things that puts a smile on my face. It's like, I made it. It's like, next clue. So guys, with that being said, that is the end of my very first psychedelic experience, part 1. There will be a second part to this story coming very soon. I am still processing everything from that experience, and when I do, you guys will be the first to hear about it. So with that being said, please like, subscribe. If you've had a similar experience, let me know below. If not, tell me about your experiences. I would love to hear about the things you've learned, the things you've wanted to learn, everything. Please let me know below. My name is Daniel. Thank you so much. Take care. I love you. Goodbye, enthusiasts. Till next time.